So you know that thing in life where like you're going straight ahead and then things just take like a 90-degree turn? Yeah, that's kind of what this video is about. So to give a little context, I moved to New Zealand about a year and a half ago. I moved on June 30th of 2018, and like basically right away I started working a full-time job here, collecting environmental data. And really the purpose of coming here was, to just have like this really big adventure. My parents had been living here for 2 years already, so I came here 2 years later and started working, collecting environmental data. It's what I went to school for, so that was perfect. And it's, it keeps me out of the office. And so in between working a full-time job, which is my first time doing that ever in my whole life, it's a totally bizarre thing to me, but when I wasn't working, trying to just like go on as many adventures as I possibly could. So when I first got here, I went on this really cool like week-long Coromandel trip with a bunch of people. That was really fun. I've gone on a ton of backpacking trips. I bought a motorcycle, mountain biking, surfing, like basically all sorts of adventures. More recently, I went on this really great East Cape trip in a camper van for a week, which was incredible. And so really that to say, like, I've been squeezing in as many adventures as I could into non-work time. And then something interesting happened when was it? Last May of 2019. May of 2019, I bought a house with my parents. And it came with a little orchard. But the reason we bought the house wasn't because of the orchard. We just really liked the house. It has a little creek in the backyard. And it's just something really exciting, having always lived in town before, always living in a small house in a small piece of land. It's really interesting and exciting to have like a big backyard with a lot of fruit trees and just space to do things. But it's just interesting because the orchard itself was kind of an afterthought. We didn't buy the place because it had an orchard, but then it ended up being like kind of the catalyst for something really exciting to happen because, my whole life I've been really into like the outdoors, nature, science, like environmental protection. I went to school. I went to this really interesting school when I was young, called the Jane Goodall Environmental Middle School, and the whole focus was like basically teaching kids how to protect the earth, how to like have this, grow up with this stewardship mindset. In looking after the earth. And so when we bought this place, one of my first thoughts was, okay, how do we turn it from orchard into more of an ecosystem? Because traditionally orchards are, how orchards usually are, not very ecosystem-like. And so I was just doing some research about like how to turn this place into more of like this paradise that I had in my mind. And I came across this word that I had never heard before, which was, I kind of thought it was strange that I'd gone, I went to school for environmental science. I'd been learning about this kind of stuff since I was a really young kid, but I'd never heard the word permaculture before. And it's been around since the 70s, but I just managed to like avoid it my whole life, basically. But it was really interesting because I was doing this research and I came across that word, and in short, the word means like to design and create a regenerative human supporting ecosystem, or human supporting ecosystems. And so I saw that and I was like, oh, perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And so I did this, I did the internet rabbit hole. I just like went way deep, and I found out that there was a class just an hour away from me that was happening. It's a year-long course basically on learning this stuff. And so immediately I called the lady. I'm like, hey, the course has been going for 2 months at this point when I find out about it, but I called her and like, hey, can I join your course? And she's like, oh yeah, no problem, just come out, we're having our next course in a few weeks. And I fell in love with it. And so at this point the course is almost over. It's been nearly a year at this point. I have my project that I'm presenting in a few months, which is really exciting. And I just finished this weekend-long workshop with somebody else he does this permaculture podcast called Making Permaculture Stronger. His name's Dan Palmer, and it's really interesting. I just finished up a workshop with him all about design process. And really all that's to say that I feel like I'm being pulled in this different direction than when I first arrived in New Zealand. And it's just exciting because I have all these ideas. I want to create this thing called Backyard Paradise Permaculture, and it's just amazing how you can have your life going in a certain direction and then all of a sudden it changes, but it's in this totally new direction that you never could have seen coming. And so that's kind of what this is about. Kind of feels like phase 2 of living here in New Zealand for me, because things have been pretty linear since getting here, and then suddenly, boom, 90-degree turn to a whole new direction. And so yeah, that's basically the point of this video, is explaining a direction change in my life, and really hoping to actually like use this YouTube channel to reactivate it, start using it a bit more. And yeah, so if that sounds like something that you're interested in, stick around, because I'm gonna be using this a bit more. So yeah, thanks for watching. Next time.